Welcome, everybody. How are you doing today? John Aravosis here. We're going to talk about the election today. I've decided unilaterally we're skipping Ukraine today. There's some news. We can talk about it a little bit, but I prepared to talk about the election instead because we are 1 week away and this is very scary stuff. Let me get TikTok rolling here and then we shall get Slovakia. You guys had a little Russian blowing up your military stuff there today, I read. Typical Russian terrorism. All right, let me get this rolling live. Let's go. Oops, hang on here. Just getting TikTok rolling. Oh, not going to work. All right, selection update. That works. All right. Morning, Sydney. Who's in Sydney? Oh, United Kempo. That's nice. A little early for you guys. I know it's always a weird time for you guys to join, unfortunately. When we do stuff late in the evening in the U.S., it's like 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. there, I'm guessing. 1 second, guys. Just kind of looking here. I wish they had more Halloween stuff we could put up on TikTok for the gifts, but alas, they don't. I mean, the Day of the Dead thing was fun, but I don't want to, over milk the Day of the Dead thing. All right. What do we like? The superpower people like that dancing flower is mine. I like the dancing flower. I'm going with the dancing flower. All right, go live. There we go. All right. Someone gave you a subscription. Oh, that's cool. Excellent, Mac. I know it's not quite clear. It's not always clear like who does those things unless you see it happen live. I wish they would. I wish they would tell people, like send you a message that says, "Oh, so and so donated a gift" or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it'd be a nice little touch, but I do not run TikTok. Oops, let me put my good microphone on for TikTok or for YouTube either. I guess that's YouTube you're on. All right, hold on. There we go. Now my good microphone is on for TikTok or my better microphone. Hey, Ashley. Woo. Anyway, woo. Welcome, everybody. Busy. What is going on? Thank you, Mark Starr. I saw your message, by the way. I will get working on the packaging. Hopefully tonight I'll do it. I may have to figure out how to package it because I don't want to fold it because then it gets full. Unless I could fold it, if you don't mind, we can see. I don't want to fold it up, but I guess it's a hanky, so it can be folded. I don't know. We'll have to see. Thank you, Cool. Thank you, Jane. Thank you, John. Thank you, Kano. Big Hawk. Hey, Big Hawk. Anyway, how's everybody doing? I decided unilaterally that we're going to talk about the U.S. election today. I'm really liking the short hair, I have to say. I know we keep talking about this, but the short hair was an experiment that I'm kind of liking. Yeah, we're going to talk about the U.S. election today. We can do a little bit of Ukraine, but I actually did not. I looked at the news for Ukraine to make sure there was nothing catastrophic. There is, the U.S. is saying today that North Korean troops are already fighting in Ukraine, which is interesting. Thank you, Cheryl, for the boo gift. So that I thought was rather interesting. Thank you, Catherine, as well. Otherwise, not a ton of news for Ukraine, so when is Kamala Harris's speech? When is she doing it? I was going to talk about that today. Oh, hey, Red Watts. Hey, Lukia. Hey, Succeed. When is Kamala Harris's speech? Kamala Harris is going to be doing a speech on the Ellipse, which is basically the same place Trump, is it tonight? It's the same place Trump did his speech launching the insurrection when he sent the domestic terrorists to the U.S. Capitol to try to violently overthrow our government after the 2020 election. So Kamala Harris is doing a speech there tonight to kind of own it, which I think is very interesting. So 6:55. So, okay, so she'll be 6 Central. So in an hour, she'll be speaking. Well, maybe we'll try to finish up or maybe I'll put it on even. That's not a bad idea. On the National Mall. Very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, I did not prepare any Ukraine news today, Frank. I looked it up to see if there's anything. There's nothing urgent, but I wanted to do the elections. We're a week from the U.S. elections. This is too important. Ukraine. The only news from Ukraine I think that's really of any merit today, really, is the U.S. is saying that I think it's the U.S. that North Korean troops are already fighting inside Ukraine, which is interesting. So very interesting. Thank you, Art for Change. Thank you, Richard, for the gifts. Let me get rolling then. I'm going to start, like I said, I'm going to do the election, actually. Well, we can talk about Ukraine at the end, but I did not prepare Ukraine because I wanted to do election today. Like I said, the next week, we'll do some Ukraine over the next week, but there's one big story in the world right now, and it's the U.S. election. All right, let's get rolling here. So this made me. So we're 7 days from the U.S. election. The U.S. presidential elections are always on Tuesday, so it's next Tuesday of next week. I had to laugh at this first story. I'm just going to read you the headline because the headline made me laugh so hard. Thank you, Randy. Headline made me laugh so freaking hard. Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon is a big Trump guy. He worked for Trump in the White House. He ran Trump's campaign for a while in 2016 and then got fired. He's crazy, I think. I think he's a little nuts. I mean, he's this very, I don't even know how to describe his politics. He's a very weird zealot. He believes in what I don't even know what it's called, some weird philosophy of the world, that the world has gone through 3 waves or something, and now we're going through the 3rd wave of the world. And the guy is, I think, thank you, Martin, I think he's intelligent. Newt Gingrich was intelligent. He was an asshole. I think he's intelligent. I think he's a little wacky. I think he's a few fries short of a Happy Meal, as we say in America. And you can be intelligent, but still be not quite right. I don't think he's quite right. He's absolutely a conspiracy lover. Well, here's what he said. So he goes to prison for 4 months. He went to prison for contempt of Congress. He refused to reply to a congressional subpoena. That's the law in America. You get a congressional subpoena, you reply to it, right? If you don't like it, Congress subpoenas you, you fight it in court. You don't just go, I don't recognize your authority as the Congress of the United States. Well, the judge said, I got news for you. You're going to prison. So he sent him to prison for 4 months. He's like Trump, but smart. He lies. He's saying today, he just got out of prison. He says, I was a political prisoner. You're like, dude, you weren't a political prisoner. You literally went to prison because you disobeyed a subpoena. It's like the simplest of legal stuff that's out there. Thank you, Jorge. Thank you, Ernie. Well, here's the story about Bannon today. He gets released from prison. Here's the headline. Steve Bannon said Tuesday he knows what Black and Hispanic men think of Kamala Harris because he was recently in prison. This is like the perfect encapsulation of today's Republican Party. Thank you, Dawn. Going to prison and thinking you're now like Black or Latino. Like, he knows what Blacks and Latinos think. He gets them. He's got the jive going, right? Thank you, Mikey. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Dawn. Because he was in prison. And of course, what does he mean? He means prison is, of course, all Black and brown people, right? It's not no white people. We have a lot of white people in prisons in America, actually. So he now knows real Black people because there's so many Black people in prison. I mean, like, as Dawn just said, can they get any more racist? I mean, like, but I also love, literally, he knows what Black and Hispanic men think because he's been to prison. And you can imagine, like, his followers among the Republican Party going, oh yeah, man, oh yeah, you're so in tune. And Blacks and Latinos are going, excuse me, most of us are not in prison. Like, like maybe you don't know what Blacks and Latinos think simply because you've been in prison. I mean, he's such a horrible human being. Anyway, so Trump's racist rally. Let's go back to Trump is having a really bad week, actually. He had that racist rally the other night in Madison Square Garden in New York. Madison Square Garden was the location where the Nazis held a rally in 1939. Trump decided to hold his rally there. A lot of people with Trump coming were sort of asking, is this the appropriate place to have a rally when this was the Nazi rally and, you're a fascist and your chief of staff called you a fascist. The head of your military called you a fascist. So Trump, of course, not one to disappoint, has a comedian open the political event at his rally. And the comedian starts talking about Black people and Latinos and women. He says about Latinos. He says, yeah, there's a floating island of garbage in the Atlantic. Have you heard about this? And he's making a joke, or he's referencing, you think, that pile of floating garbage in the Pacific, right? That all the currents, it's a very interesting story, actually. All the way the currents work in the Pacific Ocean, all the garbage people throw has come together in some massive island of garbage. It's horrific. I forget, is it miles long or something? I mean, it's a horrific, it's a crazy story. Google it. And they're trying to figure out how to clean it out and stuff. Well, thank you, Randy. The comedian goes, so did you hear? They've also found a floating island of garbage in the Atlantic Ocean. It's called Puerto Rico. I mean, could you be any more racist? Now, Puerto Ricans, not really happy about their island being called a pile of garbage. I mean, again, this is Trump's rally, guys. Trump is speaking here. This is Trump's rally. They picked a guy whose first joke that he makes, basically, thank you, Randy, thank you, Jen, is saying that Puerto Rico is a pile of floating garbage 1 week before the election. Okay. A lot of Puerto Rican voters in New York, a lot of Puerto Rican voters in Pennsylvania. I was also seeing, I'm trying to think, there were some other cities listed today of where there are a lot of Puerto Rican voters. I sort of forgetting them now, but a lot of Puerto Rican voters in a lot of the important states. Okay. He then goes on to start talking about black people. And he says, oh, I've got a black friend. And you're going, oh my God. You're actually going to make a joke about black people? Are you insane? Right? Like, again, people who aren't racist don't like think this way. People who aren't racist would never even think of saying, let's make a joke about my black friend, right? You just wouldn't do it. But this is Trump's rally. This is the Republican Party today. Thank you, Tari. So he goes, Halloween's coming up. It's Halloween in a couple of days. And in America, traditionally, we carve pumpkins. They're kind of gourd. They're orange. And we carve them with fun little faces. I don't know. I don't know if there's a gift on TikTok of that. But we carve scary little faces and put a candle inside. They're very cool. We always did it when we were kids. And he says, I've got a black friend. And for Halloween, we're going to be carving watermelons. Now, I explained this yesterday. For those of you who aren't American, maybe Canadian, I don't know if the Canadians are up on this. But for those of you who aren't American, saying that black people eat watermelons is like a super racist comment. It is a long time racist joke, trope, stereotype about blacks that they eat watermelons. There were horrific pictures years ago of this, and they would show black people like super black with huge big lips, because again they would stereotype the lips, show them smiling, eating a watermelon, and it's hard for me to explain to you. It's same in Canada, Fire? Okay, I wasn't sure. If you're not American or Canadian, I don't know if you can appreciate just how racist talking about black people and watermelons is. Again, no one does it because it is per se racist. This guy, Trump rally, go for it, right? Because again, you're dealing with people who are racist. You're dealing with people who peddle racism. It doesn't cross their mind. Hey, maybe we shouldn't talk about Latinos being a pile of garbage, right? Maybe we shouldn't talk about black people, and watermelons. Like, because if you're racist, you think that's normal. This is something I've seen in politics across the board. The extremists think they're normal. They think, like the people storming the Capitol, the Trump supporters that tried to violently overthrow our government, they think it's normal what they do. They think violence is normal and they think racism is normal. So they just kind of use it. And then they're surprised when everyone gets upset. Well, Trump, you'll be surprised to hear, has refused to apologize. I mean, the story has exploded. Latinos are pissed. This has actually become quite a large national story. Interestingly enough, because Trump typically, thank you, Luis, for the gift. Keep the gifts coming, guys. I appreciate it. Oh, Catherine says, Aussie here. I had no idea. Now you know. Yeah. Oh, well, and you saw the stereotype black with the big lips. I mean, it's even looking at the typical pictures from long ago, you'll look and go, yeah, that looks a little weird, right? So thank you, Jeremy. So Trump is in trouble right now. Latinos are pissed. They're demanding apologies. Thank you, Russell. Keep the gifts coming, guys. I do this for a living, and your gifts pay the bills. So thank you. Thank you again, Russell. Trump today gets asked about it. His campaign says, oh, we don't share those views. Trump, not a word. Trump has not said a word about this. Trump has not disavowed the comedian. Trump today gets asked about it and says, that speech was a love fest. Our meeting in Madison Square Garden was a love fest. Nothing wrong with that meeting we had, because this is what Trump does. Again, Trump peddles in racism. We know this. Trump called black people dog and cat eaters. Remember, he claimed that Haitians, they're eating our dogs, they're eating our cats, right? He called a Mexican-American U.S. soldier, who was murdered, this woman, and he called her a effing Mexican. I mean, like, this is what Trump does. He's a racist and he's a sexist. But yeah, so Trump is now refusing to apologize. Latinos have been demanding he apologize. All he has to do is apologize. He's refusing because Trump, of course, will not apologize. Authoritarians, fascists don't apologize. So Trump came out today and said, no, Latinos, you're wrong. It was not racist. It was a love fest, what happened that day. By the way, he also called January 6th a love fest. By the way, he did. January 6th, which is the day that Trump tried to violently overthrow our government, and they stormed the Capitol building. They injured 140 police officers. Several cops died in the ensuing days. They were trying to kill Mike Pence, the vice president, who now isn't even supporting Donald Trump for president because Trump tried to have him killed by this crazy mob of MAGA terrorists. Yeah, love fest. Trump called that a love fest too. Anyway, so Kamala Harris tonight, thank you for the gift there, Bjorn. Kamala Harris tonight is speaking on the Ellipse in Washington. That's sort of a circle that's right south of the White House. It's where Trump held his love fest, where he tried to violently overthrow the government on January 6th for the insurrection. And Harris is holding it there to start presenting her closing argument about Trump and the comparison between her campaign in terms of loving America, trying to make America better, and Trump's campaign, thank you, KT, which is about hating America, hating our troops, hating our allies, and loving our enemies and loving himself. Donald Trump's entire campaign is about hate and about hating everybody else and loving himself. Kamala Harris's campaign is about making America a better place for everybody. Thank you, Courtney. Polls, Washington Post. Vice President Harris has held her leads nationally and in Michigan. Oh, thank you. Who was that? Annie. Thank you, Annie. I do have your gift boxed, or your stuff boxed up. I just got to mail it tomorrow. Thank you, Courtney, as well. Kamala Harris has held her lead nationally and in Michigan, but her leads in Nevada, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin have shrunk. In the last week, Trump still leads in Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina. So what is a little scary is the race is getting closer. That is not good. It also doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense. Trump has been insane the last couple of weeks. We've seen that he's exhausted. We've seen that he seems to be having more mental breakdowns than normal. He's making all these kind of weird mistakes. He stopped a speech the other day. Thank you, Brandon. He stopped a town hall and said, let's dance for 39 minutes. And he just sat there on stage and went like this and wouldn't answer questions for 39 minutes. Reminds me of Alzheimer's, frankly. And I've seen it in my own family. It's like scary. It gets after night and bad stuff happens, right? Thank you, Nicola. Yet the polls are shrinking, which is crazy. Now, I will say this. Remember I told you guys about the advantage and disadvantage of voting early. If people vote early, their vote is locked in. So Trump acting crazier, if you voted early, you can't change your vote and vote against Trump. The good thing to some degree is Kamala Harris was more ahead in the polls a couple of weeks ago when people could start voting. So I think the hope is that some of those votes were locked in. So even if the polls are tightening, a lot of people have already voted when the polls were farther apart. That's my hope. Who the hell knows at this point, right? Harris's closing arguments. Harris in her speech tonight at the U.S. Capitol plans to, not the Capitol, but at the White House, the Ellipse on the Mall, plans to ridicule Donald Trump, calling him unstable, obsessed with revenge, true, consumed with grievance, true, and out for unchecked power, true, according to early excerpts of her speech. She says, Donald Trump has spent a decade trying to keep the American people divided and afraid of each other. That's who he is. But America, I am here tonight to say that's not who we are. America, we know what Donald Trump has in mind: more chaos, more division, she says, and policies that help those at the very top and hurt everyone else. I offer a different path and I ask for your vote. She also plans to offer several pledges as she asks for votes, saying she seeks common ground. I pledge to listen to experts, to those who will be impacted by the decisions I make, and to people who disagree with me. Unlike Donald Trump, I don't believe people who disagree with me are the enemy. He wants to put them in jail. I'll give them a seat at the table. Thank you, Bryce. Thank you. Who is it? Oh, Jinx. Maddie. So this is kind of interesting. So it looks like Kamala Harris is talking about having some Republicans in her cabinet. If she becomes president, she's going to pick some Republicans to be, members of her administration. It's happened before. Democrats have done this. I'm trying to think if Republicans have done this. Has there been a Republican administration in recent times that had a Democrat? I don't recall. Thank you, Amelia. Democrats have. Actually, it was Norm Mineta. Norm Mineta was George Bush's transportation secretary, wasn't he? No, I'm talking modern, though. Norm Mineta, I think, was one under George Bush. He had a Democrat, I should say. Any case, I think it's good. Lincoln? Well, Lincoln might have done it. I meant more recently. Yeah, I mean a little more recently than Lincoln, but it's good if Lincoln did it. um, Very funny. Well, George Bush did with his vice. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. I was going to say with his vice president. Vice president was a Republican. David Shulkin. What's that? What's that syndicate? I don't know who that is. Thank you, Colin. Thank you, Alan, for the gifts. I'm not sure who that is. Not sure who that is. All right, let me move on here. Trump. Oh, so Trump is now pissed. So General Milley, former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, America's top military official, Donald Trump's top military official. Thank you, Colin, in uniform. Big, huge general. Trump wanted generals like Hitler's generals, Trump said. Milley wasn't like Hitler's generals. Well, Milley was a little bit in one way. Milley stood up to Trump, just like some of Hitler's generals tried to. Well, Hitler's generals literally tried to kill him. Milley did not try to do that. But Milley did stand up to Trump when we were at risk of going to war with China in the last days of Trump's administration. Thank you, Russell. And by the way, this is how bad Democrats are. Democrats never talk about the fact that we could have gone to war with China, literally in the last days of Trump's administration. Trump lost his mind so badly. Thank you, Ava. After he lost the election in 2020, that he was, there was real concern in the administration that Trump was going to basically declare war on China and like start an actual physical war with China just to like distract or I don't know what. And General Milley, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, had to reach out to the Chinese and assure them that we were not going, because the Chinese thought we were going to war. And he was like, we're not going to war. We're not going to war. Don't worry. Thank you, Diana. Thank you, Ava. Milley then, as I recall, reached out to the other military leaders in America because he was the top general. He reached out and said, this is under Trump. And he said, if you get any orders to basically, launch a war against China, you're calling me first. You do not do it. They are illegal orders. You will call me first. Milley thought Trump had so lost his mind that he was going to go to war with China because Trump had gone crazy. No one talks about this. I mean, how do we, thank you, Diana and Eva for the gifts. How do we not talk about this? I do need to make a video on this. And you're right. I really do. Because it was a big story after the election when we found out. Probably my guess is probably was in Bob Woodward's book or something. And it's just like, oh, Trump, yet another Trump story, right? Like we learn the Trump stories and we go, oh yeah, he almost started war with China because he was angry and went crazy when he lost the election. So he was going to go to war with China that has nuclear weapons, mind you, and like 1.4 billion people or whatever the hell they've got. He can. I mean, you can ignore an illegal order. Somebody was asking if you can ignore the commander-in-chief. You can ignore an illegal order. Now, the military folks among us or the military lawyers would have to tell you more detail than I can tell you. But you do not, you should not obey an illegal order. And the question is why Milley would argue it's illegal, et cetera. Very scary stuff. Very scary. Thanks, Ash. Very scary stuff. What else we got here? Oh, so Trump today got upset because Milley recently said Milley, mind you, top U.S. general under Trump, came out and said Trump is a fascist to the core. And again, what's important about this, these aren't Democrats. This is a general, might be a Republican because he was working for Trump, but a general who's the top general in America. He's the guy Trump hired for the job. And after working with Donald Trump, America's top general said Donald Trump is a fascist to the core. Okay. So Trump turned around and said, hey, he should have been fired immediately. Trump's upset because, Trump's a big baby. I think Trump's just a big screaming teenager. And he's saying he should have been fired immediately over Afghanistan. Well, funny Trump should say that. Let's talk about Afghanistan again. Remember Afghanistan, when we withdrew from Afghanistan, it was kind of a disaster. Yet again, another example of why I say Democrats suck at messaging. Thank you, Chazak. Thank you, Elizabeth. Do you know who came up with the plan to leave Afghanistan? That disastrous plan to leave Afghanistan? Who do you think came up with it and executed 75% of it? Oh, I'll give you a hint, right? Who do you think? Donald Trump. We left Afghanistan because of Donald Trump. Donald Trump negotiated the deal with the Taliban. Donald Trump wanted to bring the Taliban to Camp David. These terrorists to Camp David. Donald Trump removed 2/3 of America's troops from Afghanistan. Donald Trump was the reason we didn't have enough American troops sitting there. Okay? Biden then went ahead with the plan that Trump negotiated. Trump negotiated the withdrawal. Trump removed 2/3 of our troops. Biden was in a situation, and again, Biden sucks as well at explaining stuff. We've talked about this, and Democrats suck too. Biden had the choice of leave. Trump had already removed 2/3 of our troops. We had 6,000 troops left. Biden could have stayed and violated the agreement, and the Taliban would have attacked, and we wouldn't have had enough troops to defend. And we would have had an even bigger slaughter. Biden went ahead, but Biden went more slowly. Google this. April of 2021. Google. And you will see Donald Trump praising Joe Biden for implementing Donald Trump's withdrawal from Afghanistan. The big disaster was August when things really went bad. April, Trump is praising Biden for withdrawing U.S. troops because Donald Trump was the one who did it. And Biden is following Trump's plan. Google it. You will die when you find this. Donald Trump praising Joe Biden for removing troops from Afghanistan because Trump says it was my idea. Thank you, Nisha. But my favorite part, Trump throws in, but Biden could go a little faster. He's going too slowly in withdrawing U.S. troops from Afghanistan. Right. Thank you, Nisha, again for the rose. And thank you, Edsel. Oh, hey, Edsel. Good to see you. Speaking of our military friends, Donald Trump praised Joe Biden's withdrawal from Afghanistan because Trump said, I did it. It was my withdrawal. Biden's just following through. Trump then told Biden, you're withdrawing our troops too slowly from Afghanistan, and you need to withdraw them more quickly because they were supposed to be withdrawn by May or June, and Biden waited until August because it was too dangerous. Democrats suck at messaging. Democrats didn't sit there and go, this is Donald Trump's fiasco. This is Donald Trump's withdrawal. Right? Donald Trump praised the withdrawal and said we should have withdrawn them even faster. Democrats don't say that because Democrats want to lose. No, I told you they are the worst messengers on the planet. Thank you, Heidi. I don't know what it is with Democrats. Republicans are great at messaging. They lie a lot, but they're great at messaging. Thank you, NJ Patman. I don't know what it is. Thank you, user 336. It just boggles my mind because it really does. But I mean, I've been working in Democratic politics for decades. Actually, politics for decades, not just Democrat. I worked in Republican politics too. I was a Republican too. And Republicans message like this. Democrats just what? You know what I mean? I mean, it's just, they boggle my mind. This made me laugh. Listen to this. So Donald Trump today was speaking at a roundtable event with seniors, focusing on the impact on seniors of issues such as Social Security and Medicare. Social Security is the federal retirement program. This is America. The government does not care about you, not like they do in Europe. So our federal retirement program isn't that big. It provides maybe 1/3 to 1/2 of the money you need in retirement. It doesn't provide for your retirement, right? If you're lucky, you get 1/2 to 1/3. Medicare is the federal government health program for seniors, the health insurance program for seniors. So when you retire, you go on Medicare, it's subsidized, it's cheaper, right? So Trump is at an event today with seniors to talk about Medicare, the senior health program, and Social Security, the senior retirement program. Thank you, Elizabeth. And he spends the entire time talking about immigration and inflation because this is Trump. So it's billed as an event to talk about Social Security and Medicare, and Trump went off the rails and talked about everything else. Didn't talk about Social Security or Medicare. And then he started lying about Democrats and the election and stealing the election and everything else because this is Donald Trump. So this was interesting, actually. The Republicans are trying to throw out military ballots. Kel Surprise. A federal judge in Pennsylvania threw out a lawsuit brought by 6 Republican congressmen trying to seek stricter scrutiny of ballots from overseas, including from members of the military. North Carolina, this is Pennsylvania. North Carolina, the Court of Appeals today unanimously rejected a Republican bid to have election officials segregate overseas ballots cast by people who have never resided in the state. The Republicans are basically trying to, U.S. military members A lot of them are abroad. I don't know what percentage are abroad compared to how many we have at home. I don't know whether Alexa can handle that question. Alexa, how many members of the U.S. military are stationed abroad?
I don't have an answer.
I know, because you're kind of an idiot. I know, you're stupid. Alexa's a little stupid. We know that. That should not be a hard question for any AI. Maybe you guys can try on Google. But there's a lot of U.S. military members abroad, and they vote abroad. And the Republicans are trying to basically make it harder for them to vote so their votes can be killed. Again, if you're a Democrat, they're attacking our troops. They're trying to take away the right to vote from American troops who are risking their lives abroad for all of us. And the Republicans' thank you is to take away their right to vote and get their votes thrown out. Should be a pretty easy argument. So Gunther says, ChatGPT says 13% are abroad. I'm going to guess we've got 1.5, what do we have? 1.3 million troops, 1.5, something like that. So 13% is probably, I was going to say 170,000. Amanda says there were 228,000 U.S. military personnel stationed abroad. Okay, there you go. So 228,000. I was going to say 170. That was pretty good. So 228,000. That's a lot of people. Abortion. So this is interesting. We talked about this before. Abortion is going to be the very interesting sleeper issue this election. It's the wild card. I mean, it's the big wild card. Donald Trump came to office promising to take away women's rights to an abortion, basically. In America, for the last 50 years, the Supreme Court had ruled that women had a constitutional right to an abortion. 1973, the decision was called Roe v. Wade. Republicans have tried 50 years to overturn Roe v. Wade, to take away the constitutional protections women have for an abortion. And not just abortion, it's reproductive rights overall, contraception. Even, people don't know this, even the gay marriage decision that gay people can get married was based in part on Roe v. Wade, on the rights to privacy, because the whole idea was the right to privacy, the right to govern your own body. To be in charge of your own body was a right to privacy. And the gay marriage decision came from this, contraception decisions. I say, and it's crazy, I'm even talking about it, because Republicans try to ban contraception. I mean, literally, contraception they're trying to ban. It's like crazy stuff, right? Well, we talked about yesterday, sex toys. In Texas, so you guys told me and Googled it. In Texas, the law says you're only allowed to have 6 sex toys, not 7. It's illegal. It's immoral to have 7 sex toys in Texas. The Texas Republicans got together and they said, I think we need to limit how many sex toys. And they literally discussed how many, and they came up with like 6 was the magic number. 6 sex toys and you're a good Christian. 7 sex toys and you're a very bad Christian. Well, let's face it, Texas Republicans wouldn't even talk, they'd be talking about other religions, wouldn't they? If you had 7. So Roe v. Wade. Roe v. Wade's about privacy, right? What happens is Donald Trump, but it was about abortion. It gave a constitutionally protected right to abortion for women in America. Donald Trump comes into office and says, I am going to take away the right to abortion for women in America. Thank you, Parda. I'm going to appoint justices to the Supreme Court who will take this right away from American women over their own body. He picks 3 of the craziest justices he can. The Republicans force them through. And they, what do you know, take away Roe v. Wade. They took away women's right to an abortion. They overturned Roe v. Wade after 50 years. Women no longer have a constitutionally protected right to abortion. And not just abortion, it's reproductive rights, like I said, it's contraception in America. And it's all because of Donald Trump. And Trump bragged, by the way, just like Afghanistan, Trump bragged about it. I am responsible for taking away your right to choose in America, right? Well, for the last 2 years since that happened, there have been a number of special elections, meaning not congressional elections, not presidential, but a congressman dies or resigns and has to get voted in, an election in a state legislature in Virginia, this kind of stuff. And I think there might have been 22 elections or so. And what we found was in pretty much every election, Democrats did much better than they should have done. Thank you, Maine. I can't pronounce whatever your name is. Thank you for the pumpkin. I'm trying to figure out what that is. Hot dog, whatever. Republicans have done remarkably poorly in these elections. They did much worse than the polls said they should do. That was particularly interesting. So the thinking now is, to what degree are the polls today not telling us exactly how well Democrats are doing? That Democrats might be doing much better than we realize. The problem is, thank you, Heidi, for the paper crane. Keep the gifts coming, guys, on TikTok. Remember, this is how I pay the bills. Keep them coming, please. The problem is Trump himself tends to do better than the polls as well. So on election day, Trump tends to get more votes than the polls say he was going to get. So it's up for grabs. Anyway, abortion. Washington Post. Missouri is one of 10 states with abortion-related initiatives going before voters on November 5th, including some in battleground states that will be key to deciding control of the White House and Congress. Thank you, Maine. Thank you, Luis. Thank you, J-Hop. In the 2 years since Missouri's near total abortion, listen to this. This is an interesting case study of what Republicans did, okay? Again, for those of you abroad, actually for those of you at home too. Thank you, Michelle, for the rose. Adventures. And the 2 years since Missouri is one of the American states, kind of conservative. Thank you, J-Hop. Thank you, Suma. In the 2 years since Missouri's near total abortion ban took effect, obstetrician Laura Parisi has had several patients there turned away from pharmacies as they tried to get a medication often prescribed after a miscarriage. Cut through the 2024 election noise. The newsletter. It's heartbreaking, she said, with some pharmacies reluctant to provide misoprostol for fear it would be used illegally for abortions. So it's a drug that is provided after miscarriages, but it also can cause an abortion. And the pharmacies, because the law is so strict, are refusing to give it to women who have miscarriages, even though it's legal for that, because it could get misused for abortions. And the Republicans are so draconian and so strict and so vindictive that pharmacists are afraid of giving legal drugs to women in the state because the Republicans are so vindictive to come after them. Okay. Thank you, Andrea, for the gift. For a patient to have the worst day of their lives, just having had a miscarriage and then being told to feel like a criminal, it's devastating. Parisi, 39, was part of a group of doctors going door to door in Missouri City Saturday in support of Amendment 3, the question on the state ballot that would overturn one of the nation's strictest abortion bans. The law in Missouri allows the procedure abortion only to save a woman's life, no exceptions for rape or incest. A survey conducted by St. Louis University and YouGov found 52% of voters favor the amendment, giving women back the right to abortion, and 34% are against. So that's good, at least. And that's it, actually. It's funny. I have my notes from yesterday. That is it. I intentionally did not sort of cover Ukraine today. I figured let's talk about the election. The only news from Ukraine, I think that's really news, is I believe the Americans were the ones today to say that the North Koreans are, in fact, in Ukraine fighting already, that they're not just in the Russian, on Russia's side of the border attacking Ukraine. So very interesting. Anyway, so let's hang, guys. Woo! Still tired. You know that. I don't sleep well. So I'm always going to yawn. You know how that goes. But yeah, let's talk about that. Thank you for the meerkat, Annie. What's going on? Oh, okay. Sorry, watching with syndicates writing a bunch of stuff. Don't say gay bill in Florida is a rare case in which Democrats got the messaging right. I mean, Democrats sometimes get the messaging right. Barack Obama, obviously, when he ran for president, did very well. But a lot of times Democrats just miss the most obvious things. I mean, how hard should it be to run against somebody like Donald Trump, right? The felonies, the horrific hate, thank you, Chazak, that he said against American soldiers. 22, maybe 24 women say he sexually assaulted them, convicted of 34 felonies, found liable in a court of law for sexually assaulting a woman, gave away classified information to the Russians, stole classified information from the White House and refused to give it back. Vladimir Putin, my God, tried to violently overthrow the government. Tried to violently 26 women. Thank you, Maddie. I knew it was like 2 dozen. Tried to violently overthrow the government. Okay. How much more? And he's a walking, breathing moron. He's a horrifically gross man, right? How much more do you need? Now, granted, it's a cult, and he's a good cultist, and he's a good carnival barksman, right? Right, or barker. He's good at selling snake oil. Yeah, he's good at lying to people. But still, how hard should it be to like take this man and go, you know what? Do you really want a pig, an un-American pig, to be your president? Really? But he is a con man, as so was said. And I guess that's sort of the whole point with con men. It's very hard to know, it's very hard to know. PC Note, you mean why the Washington Post is not backing a candidate? Yeah, a huge story this week. This is really interesting, actually. The Washington Post, as of yesterday morning, had lost 200,000 subscriptions. 200,000 people canceled their subscriptions. Thank you, Max. Because because Jeff Bezos, who runs the Washington Post, he's the head of Amazon. He also owns the Washington Post, which is like our, kind of it in the New York Times, like our most famous paper in the U.S. And he basically ordered them to no longer endorse candidates for president. Said we can't endorse anybody anymore. He did it, everyone believes, because he's afraid of Donald Trump. And he's afraid Donald Trump's going to come after, not just him at the paper. He's afraid Donald Trump's going to come after his space business, his little flying penis, blue, whatever it is, business that autocracy works. This is quite literally how dictatorships work. Is the dictator starts to chill free enterprise. They chill the free press. So the press is afraid to do their jobs or they'll get in trouble. It's disgusting. 200,000 people canceled their subscription yesterday. Let me see, out of curiosity, what that number is at. How many people canceled Washington Post subscription? Because like I said, it was huge. It was 200,000 a day ago. I don't know that we know. Let me see. Still 250,000, but that's 10% of their subscribers. So the latest number we know is 10%, but that's 10% of their subscribers, which is wild. We don't know any more beyond that. Yeah. Wow. But it's very bad. And I mean, for the Washington Post, it's very bad because they can't afford to lose subscribers like that. But really sick. And I mean, the worst part is the Washington Post, after the insurrection, when Donald Trump tried to violently overthrow the government, did this whole thing about this whole, if you look at their website, at the very top, there's a slogan, "Democracy dies in darkness." And it's about the importance of the media, especially in a time of impending autocracy, right? Of Donald Trump, literally trying to be a dictator, promising to be a dictator on day one. He literally promised. And the Washington Post turns around and literally does the very thing that they claim they're trying to stop, right? They are a light in the darkness because democracy dies in darkness, and the Washington Post welcomes the darkness because they're afraid of a dictator. Like, I mean, for journalists, it's literally your freaking job. It's literally your freaking job to stand up to dictators. I mean, that's your job in journalism. Ain't nothing else, So yeah, Jeff Bezos, real winner, but he's destroyed the paper. I mean, that's a hell of a lot of subscribers. Anyway. Yep, Trump is promising mass deportations. His people were asking about children, and they said, well, like, these people have children, that were like born here and stuff. And they said, we're just going to kick out whole families. We'll just kick out the entire family. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Anyway, he's such a pig. Oh, God. Excuse me. Oh, Misha. Hello. Misha left an autocracy, and now he's moved to an autocracy. A nascent autocracy. You may want to move to Canada, Misha. I mean, there are no predictions. It's a tie. It's a tie, Tommy. It's a tie. Well, the best we know is it's a tie. The election's way too close. Kamala Harris can certainly win. I may have sleep apnea. It's hard to know. I may, Louis. But will Kamala certify the elections? If they're fair, of course she will. Of course she will. Donald Trump wouldn't. No. Yes, I've got a little bit of steak PC now. Got a little bit of silverware left after last night. It was a little bit busy here, but thank you. Yes. Oh, man. Noah, you just got an anti-Trump ad about the peaceful an anti-Trump ad about January 6th. So it's not pro-January 6th. It's concerned about January 6th, at least. LB says, I canceled my Washington Post subscription. We'll look to The Economist, Financial Times, and BBC. I mean, I subscribe to the Post, the New York Times, and the Washington Post. I mean, and the Wall Street Journal. I'm trying to decide what to do about the Post, to be honest, because it is very useful to me it's my paper in Washington, D.C. I'm having a very hard time with this, but I'm thinking about it. But the Financial Times is an excellent paper. I wrote for The Economist, if I might just add. Financial Economist is a wonderful publication. A little expensive, I would say. I think they're a bit too expensive, to be honest. But like in school, we could get them. Alexa, shut up. Somehow she heard something and went ping. In school, we got good discounts on The Economist. But then when I became an adult, I was like, I can't afford this. I forget how much is the annual subscription? Let's see. Alexa, what is the annual subscription price to The Economist magazine?
From magazinesubscriberservices.com. The Economist is available for $229 for a 1-year subscription with no automatic.
Alexa, stop. $229 a year? I'm sorry. Like, it's a great pay. I wrote for them, but $229 a year? Excuse me. I pay $250 a month for one paper and $4 or $2 a month for one paper. Thanks, Deb, for subscribing. And $4 a month for the other papers. Most of my papers, New York Times, Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, I get $4 a month. And I basically cancel. Every time I just cancel. And then they come back to me and I go, okay, $4 or $2. I'm like, okay. But I'm not going to, so I pay $50 a year for my paper. I'm not paying $229. I would love to read The Economist. It is a great paper, so to speak, magazine, but way too expensive. For regular people, if you're in business, it's great. Again, I wrote for it. I loved it, but it was fun writing for them too, because the style is very interesting. It's a very intellectual kind of, and it's intellectual and cheeky, which I enjoyed, but what do you do? Where are you, Julian, that you don't get New York Times daily delivery? Or you mean you can get it, but you don't get it? Is that what you mean? Right? Yeah, actually, Deb's got a point. You can probably go to the libraries and read it. Yep, Keps is saying the same thing. Good point. Not a physical paper. No. I get the electronic. I don't want physical, to be honest. It's too much. It stacks up too quickly. You got to throw it out. Also, nowadays, everybody's lazy. They no longer deliver to your door. They used to deliver the paper to your door, which is great because you didn't have coffee. You open the door, got your paper. I get to read my coffee. Now, every morning, you've got to go downstairs before you've had coffee and hope nobody stole your paper because they're lazy. They used to literally, my paper, 20 years ago in Washington, D.C., my Washington Post was delivered to my door. Now you got to go downstairs. It's just, they've gotten lazy. It's like, okay, well, then I don't need a paper version. I still would like the paper version. You get digital, but I like paper because you see stories in the paper that you don't necessarily see otherwise. I had a paper route too, but I can't prove it. I actually forgot I had a paper route. I did have that once. I remember the little thing over my shoulder in the papers. I don't know how long I did it. One of the Chicago papers, probably Chicago Tribune. I don't even recall. It's a blue shirt, but close enough, Ayub. But as the Republican said to Kamala Harris, I can't prove I had a paper route. I don't have receipts. This is true. When I was 10 years old or whatever I was, I can't prove I had a paper route. Very true. 12 years old, I don't know. Slave labor. It doesn't make sense. I don't know if Trump is gaining voters, though. That's the thing I don't know. I don't know if he's gaining voters. Exactly. That's when I had my bicycle. That was the bicycle I just sold. Exactly. I think probably my bike, probably the same bike. So, Oh, I'm tired, guys. I'm sorry. Oh, like I said, we're finishing up the house stuff, though. We are getting awfully close. So most everything in the house is spoken for, which is great. Gave away a lot of stuff to charity like every day. We could go to Discord for a little bit today. That's not a terrible idea, but we haven't done that in a while. Do I wish I were in DC to go to the rally? I would go to the rally. That would be fun. Now, I don't know whether the rally is open to the public or not. Sometimes those things are closed. I don't know. But I would, if I were in DC, I would absolutely. And the weather's been amazing. It's 80 in Chicago. It's still 80 out. Chicago's 24 degrees, 25 degrees Celsius. Betsy, we are selling the house. Yes. It's not on the market yet. We're still sort of finishing up, but it could be ready to be seen in a week if we're lucky. So very exciting and very scary and sad at the same time. But yeah, but It's taken 2.5 months of a lot of work by my sister and me, but looks like and her husband, and looks like we're finally there. Hey, Pam, thank you for that. Clearing snow. Where are you, Chazak? You could RSVP on Harris's website. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, Sobo, put the house up for auction on Discord. That's not a bad idea. You can pay by PayPal. Yeah, exactly. Chris QT is saying on YouTube with a very generous gift, by the way. I'm getting really scared now. I'm a naturalized citizen, American father, German mother. I was born on a base in Germany, and will they deport me? I mean, probably not. I mean, that's how screwed up. Thank you, Diana. That's how screwed up this is. You know what I mean? Like, probably you're okay. I mean, that is the whole nature of fascism. It is. It's to make you question. It's to make you doubt. It's to make you worry. So then maybe you're a little more quiet. Maybe you don't say things politically. Maybe you don't get as involved because you're afraid the government will come down on you. This is what Donald Trump is all about. Yeah. I mean, I doubt, first of all, if you're white, you're probably okay, right? If you're, but again, you may not be. I mean, your father was German and your mother was American, I guess. Doesn't mean your mother was white. Yeah, as Robert just said, do you look white? Which is really sad because Robert's correct. I mean, that's the really sad part about this. When we're talking about Trump deporting people, if you're white, you're fine. You're fine. Very scary. 50,000 expected at Harris's DC rally. That's great. And they're not going to march on the Capitol and try to violently overthrow the government with guns. Who knew you could actually do that with a rally outside the White House? Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you're fine, Chris, but that's the kind of screwed up stuff they're talking about. Yeah, the ballot box is on fire. That's crazy, Jeffrey. Ballot box is on fire. Is it the Northwest? Is it Oregon and Washington, maybe state? I'm trying to remember what the actual locales were. Somebody's going around and lighting ballot boxes on fire, like where you drop your ballot on the street. Really screwed up. Really screwed up. And those tend to be Democratic areas. So, yep, Oregon and Washington. Thank you, Alexis. And so you can guess who it is who's trying to burn ballots in Democratic states. Probably not Democrats. Probably not. It's Oregon and Washington. Okay, it's Jeremiah. Yep. I thought those were the two. Yep. Actually, I meant to mention, I read the story today and then I sometimes forget to put stories on my list to talk about. I read them and go, oh my God, and then don't always put them on the list. So good for you to remind. Could be the extreme. I mean, it could be the extreme left. Big Hawk says that's true. There could be like the crazy anarchist left. It's possible. It's more likely it's Republicans, but but it could be the extreme left. It's true. Thank you, Crazy American. I don't even know what happens. I don't even know. The problem is if your ballot gets burned up, if they can't recognize the ballot, they don't know who submitted ballots. It's a mess. I mean, it's a real mess. I mean, what you'd have to do is tell people if you submitted a ballot on that day, request a new ballot. The only problem is they would have to have a system that can catch double ballots. And I'm assuming it does, but you don't want a double ballot to come in and then they think you're cheating, right? Generally speaking, you can't bid twice. I know Kamala's speech is on. I may go put it on actually rather than although we could always go to Discord and watch Kamala's speech from there. If it's on time. You can track your ballot. That's interesting. Ballots have a barcode that gets scanned. That's interesting. Huh. So they may be able to see, well, the only problem is, okay, but if it burns up in a box on the corner, they don't know you mailed it. That's the only problem. So you could have the ballot at home and say, I don't have a ballot, give me another one. You know what I mean? They may not like that. It doesn't prove it was destroyed. You could have just not mailed it. So they still have to have a system to kind of catch a second ballot, and hopefully they do. Too late to request a new ballot in California. Well, that's the other problem. We're a week away from the election. I mean, they should let people cast provisional ballots, which basically means you go to the polling station, they let you vote, and then they go and they see. And if your vote doesn't arrive by mail, they count the vote that was in person, basically, you know. Right, but I guess my point is, Nick is saying you get an email notification when they receive your ballot. My point is, just because they didn't receive your ballot doesn't mean your ballot got lost. Maybe you didn't send it, right? You say you sent it. That doesn't mean you sent it. I'm a lawyer. It's not proof that your ballot got lost or burned because it never arrived. Maybe you didn't send it, right? So, you know, you can take people's word at it, but this is a legal thing. People's word may not be enough, you know? Burning ballot boxes? Good question. It's election interference. I don't know what the, I mean, Donald Trump will probably pardon you, but I don't know what the prisons, what the sort of felony is. I don't know. What do you think about the AG after Musk? Oh, well, I don't know if he's going after him, but no, the state one is going after Musk. Yeah. Isn't there a state, is it Pennsylvania maybe, where they're filing charges against or going after Musk for his PAC doing the weird, trying to buy people's votes. Well, buy people registering to vote, which is illegal. I mean, who knows? Let's see. I mean, I don't know. It is Pennsylvania. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't know well enough to know. Typically, I will say this. Our election laws often don't have a lot of bite to them, especially for something like this. This wasn't Musk literally stealing ballots. It was him paying people to register to vote, kind of. And it's, you know, our system doesn't seem built very well to go after things like that, you know? But, you know, let's see. It would be nice if we could prosecute him and go after. I mean, they are going after him. It'd be nice if they could convict him, but, you know, let's see. You know, we shall see. It was an illegal lottery in Pennsylvania. Yep, exactly. What else, guys? I mean, we can go to Syndicate. I'm calling it Syndicate. I'm looking at Syndicate here joining us today. Thank you, Larissa. We could go to Discord for a little bit. I don't want to go like a huge long period because I'm really tired. Like I said, it's just been another day of, you know, nonstop. Well, but also nonstop work on the house. I'm just extremely exhausted. So, but thank you, Larissa. I think I thanked you. I don't even know who I thanked. It is Syndicate's Discord, though. Really, he's the one who built it. We got to stay on his good side. With a click of a fingers, this Discord could disappear. All it takes is one wrong word in Dutch. So, putting it up for auction, exactly. Put it on eBay. An extra hour of sleep, yeah. Although I'm at the age where I don't always sleep late. Like it's kind of hard to. I sleep relatively late, but long ago I lost the ability to sleep late. You know, like sleep till 11 o'clock or whatever. My nephew can still do that. I can't. Oh, you're taking your puppy to the first puppy class tonight? What kind of dog do you have, Deb? That's fun. Sasha was a little too old for puppy class. By the time I went, they were like, she's too old. What do you mean she's too old? I didn't want to bring her because I wanted to get her shots first. And then after 6 months, she had her shots and she's too old. It's like, thank you. Half boxer. Oh, that's fine. Oh, the boxers. They literally do box. It's funny. You're at 5 a.m.? What does that mean, Betsy? Are you saying where you live it's 5 a.m.? Where are you, Asia? Or Australia? Yeah, the dogs. I know the dogs won't let you sleep that long. Yeah, they let you sleep a little bit. I haven't done, and I've got to do videos on. I do have to do some videos on TikTok today too. I sort of didn't get to it, so I will do that after the show. Just a few election update videos. I do think my favorite. So thank you, Joe. But my favorite though is Steve Bannon. I was in prison. I know how the black man thinks. Could you be any more racist? Like, oh my God. They're just amazing. Absolutely amazing. One of Trump's top guys. I know how blacks and Latino think. I was in prison. Oh, he did, Doughboy. Oh, he did. Steve Bannon says he knows what black men and Latinos think of Kamala because he was in prison. And of course, that's the best place to pull blacks and Latinos if you're a Republican, I guess, is prison, because that's where they all hang out, I guess, if you're a Republican. I mean, it was so freaking racist. So freaking racist. But this is what they do. This is what they do. So when they're not at Madison Square Garden holding Nazi festivals, attacking Puerto Ricans and calling Puerto Rico an island of garbage, which they literally did, and Trump's refusing to apologize, which isn't bad. That's not bad. Going into the election, not terrible, you know. Anyway, oh man, yep, yeah. I'm gonna go because I'm tired. Okay, I think I'm rather than Discord tonight. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna put on Harris's speech, veg a little bit. I've got a pack Mark Starr's auction item. I think it was Mark who asked if we still had the Chinese handkerchief. That's really cool. It's a beautiful embroidered handkerchief, and we do. So I think we do, unless my cousin's girlfriend took it. I've got to check, Mark. Now you got me worried. I'm a little worried, Mark. She might have taken it. Actually, she might have taken it. Ooh, I've got to double check now. Well, Mark. I'll have to let you. If you sent money, I'm gonna have to send it back. Let me see. I'm not sure whether we still have it. Yeah. All right, I'm going to look around for a minute, but I may have said yes too soon. They were here yesterday, and it was kind of like, I think I showed her. I said, it's beautiful. Nobody wants it. She goes, oh, my God, it's beautiful. So I got to double check. If she took it, we're SOL. Mark may still be with us. I'll reach him on Discord and tell him. I can refund his PayPal money. He can file a PayPal complaint against me. He took my Chinese embroidered handkerchief. It was a very cool handkerchief, and it was very generous of Mark to offer, which was sweet. So, all right, guys, have a good night. Thank you, Larissa, for the team bracelet. Betsy as well. Yeah, let's just go. Let's go watch Kamala's speech on TV now. I'll do it like offline so I can kind of chill a little bit. A PayPal complaint. Yeah. No. I'm gonna refund Mark's money. Now I'm gonna look right now and see, because there may be another box sitting in here. There may be another box, but I don't think there is. I think since nobody bought it, we gave it to my nephew's girlfriend. So what do you do? Yeah, I'm going to message him. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good night. I will see you all tomorrow, 6 o'clock Eastern time, US. We'll talk about Ukraine too, but this week is going to be very election focused for obvious reasons, So, all right. Thank you, guys. Burp. Exactly. See you, Joe Boy. All right. See you guys. Thanks, Syndicate, for joining us tonight. I'll message him. Yeah, no, I'm going to message him right now. All right. See you guys. Thank you. And you guys.